This Craftsman Truck Series 2025 win totals edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Hi. Sorry. God. Hey, it's of course the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. I'm sorry you caught me getting ready for the show with my new Keeper's Heart bottle of whiskey, and yeah, I'm just sorry that you had to see that.
Again, this is why you got to subscribe. YouTube.com/NASCAR Gambling Podcast, and then you get to see fun little clips like Rod filling his drink with whiskey. At 6:30 in the morning. I wasn't supposed to say the time, was I? Shit, sorry about that.
Listen, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, and sometimes that means 5 a.m. somewhere, right? I mean, there's no specification in that song what 5 o'clock actually it dictates. So I'm clear either way. But hey, happy Thursday to you, Cody. Happy Thursday to everybody out there, or Friday or Sunday or Monday, whenever you listen. Definitely a lot of fun this week talking about the Truck Series. So we figure we'll continue on down the road because Caesars is giving us win totals to chew over, and it's not a lot, but Cody, you and I both know that this could be a 2-hour episode if we let it.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have any problem filling a full episode, Rod. That's never, we're what, 600 or 500 and some episode. I don't know how many episodes we're at, but a fucking lot, and we've never had a problem filling a full episode before. So don't think that'll be an issue today. Plenty of news to talk about, which we can get to in a second, but Truck Series win totals is great. Not a ton, which not really unexpected in the Truck Series. As you know, the lower series are more top heavy, especially with the guys who can win. Now you'll have to factor in the Kyle Busches that come down. If a Kyle Larson comes down and runs, and you're going to have some other guys that are going to jump into some of these trucks and, from the upper series and have their shot at taking some of the wins. So it does make the win total conversation exciting for sure.
And less races. I mean, honestly, that's really what makes this the more difficult one to handicap, is that there's less, right? There's 23 races in a Truck Series season, so there's not a lot to go around in the first place.
Yeah, that is actually probably the best point so far, because it is only 23 compared to, in the Cup Series, we got 36 wins to hand out. You sort of know which drivers have the best chances at wins. There's some wild cards obviously in there, but it is much different in the trucks. Only 23 races. 11, probably 14 of them other drivers aren't allowed to compete in anyways, because it's going to be your the playoffs, the cutoff race. Those are out. I guess there's not 10 playoff races, but either way, there's a decent handful of races that other people aren't allowed to come down in, because they've also got the Triple Truck Challenge that they do, where you're not no Cup or Xfinity guys are coming down for that. So yeah, should be a good one.
Indeed. All right. So before we get to the news, I want to tell you, but the NFL playoffs are here. And boy, let me tell you, this LA situation, we're keeping an eye on, because the Rams are supposed to host a playoff game this weekend, and I don't know how likely that's going to be. So we'll keep an eye on that. But make sure you listen to the Sports Gambling Podcast Network for all of their NFL picks and props, still going strong, even though they're not in the eye of the Armageddon, but boy, they are certainly close. And it's as much as it's going around, I'm not sure how long they'll be safe. So thoughts out to Sean, Ryan, and everybody out there and their families in LA, because like I said, this is getting crazy out there. So hopefully they're staying safe, but still listen to them because as degen as they are, they're still cranking out the content for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was on the show earlier this week, so still time to go back and listen to the best ball episode for Underdog. They've got the best ball for the NFL playoffs over there. That was a lot of fun to do. So yeah, check out their show. It is a great one.
Indeed. All right, Cody, there's one particular piece of news that I'm pretty excited about that I know you are probably itching to tell the story of, and that's the driver of the 7 truck this year for at least a few races.
Yeah, Corey Day is going to he's been signed by, essentially Hendrick has signed him with hendrickcars.com. And again, we talked about this with Roger Cruth yesterday. If you get Mr. H's endorsement, usually a pretty good thing, right? So Day is a dirt sprint car racer, been around for a little while, kind of an up-and-coming kid. We saw him dabble a little bit last year. Not the greatest of results in his first couple of starts, but obviously they see something there that they really like. I think that this has a lot to do with Kyle Larson. And, these really good Hendrick drivers, they don't have a good history of picking other future Hendrick drivers at all, do they? Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, maybe not. I don't know. But I believe Kyle Larson probably involved in this, obviously, with the dirt sprint car part of things. But Day is an up-and-coming talent that we're going to continue to keep an eye on. He's going to run some ARC Menard Series races. He's also going to run some Truck Series races in that 7 car. So potentially a guy we'll be able to talk about when it comes to maybe some top 5s, maybe like a group bet, or if you get him in a head-to-head or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be fun to actually track his progress. Obviously, we're not going to dive into anything other than just the fact that he's in there because, well, obviously the books aren't necessarily catching up to it right now either. But, for him, like you said, it'll be fun to track his progress. We'll see what he's going on, what he's got going on. Tell you what, though, kid was born in Clovis, by the way, so a local kid for me. 2005. Ooh. He was born in 2005. 3 races in the ARC Menard Series. He raced 4 times in the Truck Series last year. So, an average finish of 21, but he finished 18th at Bristol, 32nd at Kansas, 16th at Homestead, and 18th at Martinsville. So solid top 20 runs for 3 out of those 4, driving the 81, the 91 truck for hendrickcars.com. So yeah, this will be fun to kind of pay attention to what he's got going on. Him and Roger Carruth, obviously, guys that are going to be flying that Hendrick Cars banner. So yeah, excited to see what we can do with him for some, maybe, I don't know, group bets or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's, something we haven't really talked much about, but might be something we sort of dive into as the season goes on. The High Limit Series is that Kyle Larson and Brad Sweet own for dirt sprint cars. They're working on a partnership to be able to bet on their races, which is pretty exciting. But Day actually ran full-time in that series last year. I believe he's probably going to be running in it. I haven't seen officially, but I'd imagine he's still running in it this year, if not full-time, at least, part-time. So, you'd be able to potentially see him in a dirt sprint car somewhere near you because they're traveling all over the country. I know they'll be back here at Eagle Raceway in Nebraska, and I've already got that date circled on the calendar. I will certainly be in attendance for that because they put on a great show. So, yeah, always good to see these dirt guys continue to get a chance. And obviously, you look at the Cup Series, dirt guys have done pretty well over the years coming up to the Cup Series. So,
in attendance, you gotta have a microphone in your hand down there in pit.
Yeah, probably not for high limits, but I will just be in attendance for that one. But I'll be there either way. That's what matters.
All right, Cody. What else do we got news-wise?
Yeah, Fast Pasta's back, Rod. He is going to be attempting run at the Daytona 500. Not really a surprise here. The Beard Oil 62 car are going to be entered again. They always attempt the Daytona 500. They run in basically all of the super speedway races. Alfredo ran with them last year. I think he ran a couple of the races last year. They sort of split it up last year, but he's been with them before, and we know he's a good super speedway guy. So definitely going to be somebody that will probably come up on the 500 show, but just adds to that growing list of more and more open entries. Again, NASCAR, not too late to make that 43 cars that make the race. Please and thank you.
Well, not just that, but I mean, one of them, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast car. We're still looking for an open car that needs a sponsor because I guarantee you, if you're still looking for a sponsor at this point, you're probably not going to get one. So we'll offer our services up, and you can run the NASCAR Gambling Podcast car.
As soon as we hit the lottery, Rod, we will make that happen.
lottery. All we need is just another few hundred subscribers on YouTube, and we can get the monetization part of it, and we're good.
Okay, if you say so.
Look, I'm setting high goals for 2025, Cody. This is the year of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. We will be everywhere.
Like one more news story quick for you. The ARCA Series race for Daytona is becoming more and more loaded with names. Elio Castroneves is going to enter that race, get some track time, more stock car time before he runs in the Daytona 500, obviously. Catherine Legge, I believe is how you say her name. She is going to be driving in that race as well. She has been all over the Indy 500, run some other IndyCar races. I think she races in IMSA. She's all over the place doing a ton of stuff. I believe she holds the fastest Indy 500 qualifying time by a woman now that she set a couple of seasons ago. So yeah, really excited to see her come over and get some time in a stock car as well. And that race, look, ARCA races are always interesting, but you put them on a super speedway. And now you're going to have some pretty big names in there. It'll definitely be a fun race to keep an eye on. Every once in a while too, you'll see, I think is it Bovada? I think that every once in a while we'll post odds. So maybe we'll end up getting some odds for that race, which would be entertaining as well.
The sport never gets worse the more fun names that you put out on the track. And I mean, that's even if it's ARCA Menards, if it's IMSA, if whatever it is, like the whole sport of racing, just it gets so much better when everybody starts to get involved and have a good time with it. So I love to see this. I love to see the pool getting deeper with names that we'll be having fun watching come Daytona time, which honestly can't come fast enough if you're telling me.
That's right, Rod. 38 days. We're almost there.
38 days. All right. Do we want to touch on the case? Do we want to kind of dive in on the fact that they dismissed the claim? I mean,
what I didn't even see. What did they dismiss? Do you
court is let out. Let's see. Bob says court is let out. Both sides argued as much. Or NASCAR has
I think it was basically just like now they know what they're going to argue with each other, and the court will, or like the trial won't start before December 2nd or something like that. So, I mean, really nothing has changed, I guess. So.
Okay. I saw something about, dismissing the lawsuit.
Yeah. That's just like, it's all the legal stuff and maneuvers. Like, okay, you granted the injunction. Let's get it dismissed because of this. Oh, you won't dismiss it because of that. What will you dismiss it because of this? I'm like, I mean, it's just the legal back and forth that you expect in a case like this. And at this point, doesn't really mean anything until there's another big ruling that could shake things up.
All right. Well, then that's fine. I saw it. I thought to myself, maybe there's something there, but all right, fine. All right. Let's get to some truck series talk. But before we do, I would like to take this opportunity to tell you about DraftKings playoffs. We're talking about playoffs? You bet we are. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. You ready to bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook and make your pick. Look, I know that we talk NASCAR, I know we talk NFL here, but there are actually odds that have sports that have nothing to do with either one of those. You want to bet on some snooker? You can bet on some snooker. Guess what? There are matches going on all this weekend long, including Judd Trump, the higher ranked guy in this thing. He is -1.5 against the spread, -160 against Barry Hawkins. You can find that or the money line. I know it's juiced, but -265 or +195 for Barry Hawkins. You can find snooker odds on DraftKings. I'm telling you right now, folks, dig deeper into these books. Don't just kind of scratch the surface. Get in there. Have some fun with it. And if you're a new DraftKings customer, you can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus cash instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SGP. That's code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
So there is your random sports reference of the day. Snooker. Go find it.
Snooker.
Don't know what snooker is.
Yeah. Couldn't tell you what snooker is, but again, if you can bet on it, I could be interested in it.
I'm just telling you right now. It's actually it's like pool, but it's not. I mean, it's a billiards type game. You got a bunch of balls on the table. You got to sink them, but you have to kind of sink them in an order. It's so there's so much strategy goes into it. It's just a crazy game to watch. But yeah, have some fun, watch some snooker, and then make money off of it. I mean, if you bet Judd Trump, then you're gonna have a good time. So, all right. Let's move on to what we know all about, and that is racing. And we are talking truck season win totals from these drivers. And Cody, I feel like just starting right from the top where they get us, or should we build up to this guy?
No, I start right at the top, Rod.
All right.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Let's start with it. Let's start from the top. Corey Heim is at Heim time, and how many times will it be Corey Heim time over the course of the season? Caesars right now is giving us a 4.5 win total number, with the over juiced at -145, the under juiced at +115. For reference, he did win 6 races last season. He was the winningest driver in the Cup Series, or in the Truck Series. Not the Cup Series. Boy, could you imagine that?
Rod fast forwarded to 2030 there real fast. It's weird.
It's funny because I've gotten this wrong a couple of times this week, and I don't know what it is about the off seasons melting my brain. But yeah, Corey Heim, 6 wins, 14 top 5s, 10 or 18 top 10s. I mean, he led 682 laps. We know he's going to be dominant. So then why is this number not at 5.5?
Yeah, well, and I think a common theme we're going to see here is they've really got some heavy juice on the overs on a lot of these guys, which is a bit unfortunate. It's -145 on the over. But how does Corey Heim not win 5 races, I think is the better question. It's just he's going to win 5 races. I think it's as simple as that. You look back at last season, and Christian Eckes was his biggest contender. Obviously, Eckes is gone. They put Hemrick in that car, and we talked yesterday a bit about Hemrick, and there's not a win total for Hemrick, which might be somewhat telling, right? But is Hemrick going to be able to get all the wins that Eckes got last year? Maybe he should, but I don't know that he will. Chandler Smith is coming in, and we're going to talk about his win total here in a minute too. But I certainly think that Eckes is leaving a pretty sizable gap of races on the table there. And Heim doesn't even need the Eckes races. He already got to 6 last year. How does he not get back to 5 this season? So yeah, it's -145, but you only pay the juice if you lose, Rod, and I don't think you will.
So to put it in contrast, he had 4 second place finishes, 7 top 3 finishes in the entire season, including those top 2. So, I mean, like you said, it's just, he was right there on the doorstep. He finished second in, I'm trying to figure out now how many times he finished second to Christian Eckes, because there's a lot of times where he did finish second to Christian Eckes. I know that
we've even seen him, we've seen him outduel Kyle Busch before in the same truck. So he's very capable of even beating the Cup Series guys when they come down. And Kyle is going to get it done if he does. I haven't seen anything official on Kyle running truck races. I'd imagine he will, because he generally does. But we even saw at Las Vegas where Carruth won. Kyle was in that race and didn't win. It's not like it used to be where he doesn't just come down and get 5 wins when he does come down. He's going to get a couple for sure, but there's plenty on the table for Heim.
Yeah, again, second place finish at Richmond where he led 64 laps in that race. A second place finish at IRP where he led 73 laps in that race. So, he's knocking on the door to at least another win. And that was a 7th win. That wasn't even just a knocking on the door on a 5th win. That was a 7th win. So I feel like like you said, you take out Eckes, one of his big dueling partners, and I think he's free to at least get that 6 again. And obviously that's higher than 4.5. That's over 4.5. So I think I'll take that. And like you said, you only pay the juice if you lose. This is one where, yeah, he's pretty much got an open path to at least 5 wins, if not 6 again next season. And that's already, like we said, 23. That's already whatever the fraction of 6 to 23 is. That's what it is. I'm not a beautiful mind. I can't figure that out off the fly, but whatever the percentage is of that, that's what it is. So yeah, I think the over here is in play, but
I like it.
Tough because it's already
you hate the juice, but I wouldn't, this is one of those deals where if you don't want to bet it, fine, because it's minus 145, but I would not bet the under because I think you've got a really tall task trying to hit the under on this. And, plus 110 is, or wait, that's wrong. Plus 115. That's not a great number either. So yeah, I would not bet the under. So if you are going to bet it, it's the over for sure.
Yeah, it's not
Rod,
well,
do you have do you have a breaking news button?
Let's see. Do I have a breaking news button? I don't have a breaking news button, but I've got yeah, no, I don't have it.
Okay, that's okay. Breaking news anyway.
I was just gonna go like this. No, that's scary music. Never mind. Okay.
This is scary for the rest of the field, Rod. So there is that. Breaking news out of Junior Motorsports. They are going to have the 9 car apparently be an all-star car this coming season. Ross Chastain is going to drive 5 races for Junior Motorsports. And Rod, SVG, 4 races for JRM. You have to assume Mexico City is one of those. Mm-hmm. That's likely an SVG win. And probably road courses for a lot of the other ones. These 9 races between the two guys, 5 for Ross and 4 for Shane, immediate contenders to win and likely even favorites in those races. So going to be pretty fun to see those guys jump in some fast cars because we saw last year SVG obviously dominated in a Colleague car on road courses. If you're going to put him in a JRM car on road courses, holy shit. And Chastain is always just in like shitty equipment. And so it makes it tough, but putting him in an elite car like a JRM car in an overall weaker Xfinity field this season, woo, buddy.
Has he ever driven for JRM before, or is this his first time out there?
I don't think so. I think we've seen him race for Colleague because he was full-time with Colleague at one point. And Ganassi, when they had the complete scam DC Solar car, he was good, good in that one, and that Ganassi car was good, but it wasn't JRM level good. And that wasn't the Ross Chastain that we know now and what he's capable of these days. So I think that's going to be pretty exciting because I don't know that we've really seen him have a legit shot in a great car, which he's now going to have.
Man, watch out. You're right. Hold on. So that really is for the rest of the field.
It is, Rod.
What else is scary? Pianos falling out of the sky. And luckily, Ty Majeski was able to miss the biggest piano and take home the biggest prize of the season. However, his win total this year is set. Now, see, this also pisses me off because his number set at 2.5. Okay, the over's juiced at minus 140, the under at plus 110. He won 3 races last season. He's not one to win more than that was his highest win total actually in the truck season, in the truck series in his career. He had 2 in 2022, 1 in 2023, and then 3 last year. So, I mean, do you take the under here, or does this what frees up? What makes it to where he's going to win 3 races again?
Yeah, this is probably the toughest one on the board, actually, like sort of just browsing through. I haven't dug into all of them yet, but this is a tough one because he obviously won 3 this past season. He's the reigning champion. He should continue to get better, but he's also been around a long time. And it's like, he's not a Heim type of guy where you're going to see him win a ton, but there's also a lot of races where he probably could have won and they had mistakes and pianos fall out of the sky, which we know happens. So if they clean those up, he could be very dangerous to win a bunch of races. Minus 140 at the over 2.5. I'd much rather just bet it. I'm not going to take a minus 140 on all of these guys. Just going to put it all into Corey Heim if I'm going to take one, probably, right? So I don't think I would do that for Majeski. Under 2, like he could easily get 2 wins and not a third one, though. I think, I was initially thinking, why didn't they set this higher? But I think at 3.5, you just would be forced to take the under. So I think 2.5 is probably actually an appropriate number. I'll take the under on Ty Majeski at plus 110.
So started on the pole in Daytona, finished 15th. He finished second in Atlanta, third at Austin, second at Martinsville. He led 66 laps in that one. Fourth at Gateway after leading 43 laps in that one. And then he, kind of broke the seal at IRP, won that one, won at Richmond the next week, started on the pole at Milwaukee, finished second then, started on the pole in Kansas, ended up finishing 15th, second at Homestead, he won Phoenix. Like, everything in me says he's going to win 3 races because
he should win 3 races.
That's what I'm saying. But look at this. Okay. So 14 top 10 finishes for him. Okay. 60% of the races he finished inside of the top 10, but he could not convert that into top 5s he only converted 43% of his finishes into top 5 finishes. So the chasm between, but it looks impressive on paper because you see the ones that he finished and they're not like these top 5s are not just 5th place finishes. They're runner-ups. They're third places. They're wins,
Right. Yeah, and there's so many tracks that he is really good. And the thing with Majeski is if they don't fuck it up on these short, flat tracks, he's just the best guy out there. He's really, really good at them. But the reason a lot of times we don't pick him or we go against him is because he fucks it up a lot. And that's what concerns you if you're taking the over. Yeah, this is probably one that I just wouldn't bet because I think that it's tough. Now, if you're forcing me to make a pick, I am going to take the under because I like the plus 110 more. And I think that it's possible he doesn't win. Does Corey Heim only win 4 races? That's sure, it's possible, quote unquote, right? But it's really I don't see that happening. Ty Majeski only win 2 and could still be the champion. Sure, absolutely. That wouldn't be so shocking. So give me the under, even though I'm not racing to the window to place that bet, I guess is how I'll put it.
And for me, I'll take the over. If you have to bet one, I'll take the over because I do think 3 wins is possible for him, especially like we said with Christian Eckes out, with a lot of the guys that are out there. I think they kind of, now they've got the championship. Now they know that they don't have to. There's a lot of pressure that gets taken off when you can actually take a title home, and you're like, all right, you know what? That's validity. That I validated myself. Now I can just go out and race and be kind of more free. So I think 3 wins is in his future.
Definitely something to be said for that. Getting the monkey off the back, we talk about it a lot. It's a real thing.
It is. All right. Speaking of monkeys and backs, we're going to get one off of our back. No, just kidding. I love you, underdog. We're going to talk about you after I do this. All right, here we go. Let's talk about Underdog Fantasy, and then we'll come back and finish off the rest of these. Tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports. Underdog is always making it easier to win with profit boosts and gimme pick'ems. Underdog's best ball playoff is now live. The Gauntlet Tournament has $2 million in prizes up for grabs for just a $25 entry. There's NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and so much more. You can use your specials and boosts now on all of your flexed entries. I have been thumping my chest all week long for this Chargers matchup. Ladd McConkey, his receiving total is set at 70.5. I am taking the higher than on this one. I think the rookie is going to smash in his first playoff game ever, and I think we are going to all benefit from that. So take the Ladd McConkey higher than 70.5 receiving yards, and thank me later. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. It's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN.
Right, I don't know if you remember the days of Kyle Busch coming down to the Xfinity Series and being minus 150 to win races and whatnot. SVG will be that this season. So they've announced the races. SVG, Mexico City, Chicago, Sonoma, and Watkins Glen. He is going to absolutely destroy everyone in that car, likely at all 4 of those. And Chastain is going to do Coda, which he has a Cup Series win at 40-1. We hit on that day. Beautiful, beautiful day. Darlington, the first race there, Nashville, Dover, and Iowa. So good set of tracks for Chastain there as well. But SVG at those 4 tracks, SVG and Connor Zilich battling it out in JRM cars at those tracks. Oh, buddy.
I'm gonna have to.
I'm so excited for this season, Rod.
I'm gonna have to expand my what you call it, my press pass into Saturday because I can't wait
for
to watch
Sonoma.
that.
Yeah, that's gonna be. Yeah, and I'm hoping that I can make it to Iowa this year and see Chastain there in the Saturday race as well. So that'd be pretty exciting.
That'll be fun. All right, somebody else I'll be watching very closely in the entirety of the Cup of the Truck Series season. I want to say Cup, man. It's trucks. Chandler Smith. We talked about him yesterday.
I have problems with this one, Rob.
I have many problems with this one. Chandler Smith. His number is set at 2.5 wins for the season. The over juiced at -180. The under at +150. But why? Why?
Is the question. I mean, why give us this option at -180? Why not give us 3.5? Why not set it at 3? I know that the books probably don't like pushes either, but set it at 3 at a better number, and then we can bet it hoping to get to 4. I don't understand why you put this out here at -180, and maybe it opened it at a little bit of a smaller number than that, and it's got bet up quickly, but. To the points we talked about Chandler yesterday in the championship episode, I think that this kind of proves things. Like Ty Majeski champion is 2.5 at -140, and Chandler Smith is coming in at 2.5 at -180. And Smith could steal some of those wins from Majeski, by the way. I just don't at -180. I don't think that you can bet this, but I'm not going to bet the under. This is another one like it is +150 under 2.5. So they're pretty certain he's going to win 3 races. And I agree with them, which is unfortunate because it makes it hard to bet on it. But I'm taking the over on him here. But again, I'm not going to bet it because it's -180. And that's a bit ridiculous to tie up in a season-long future like that. But come back and give us 3.5. I'd like to, because at 3.5, it would be a much tougher conversation because I think that there's a big difference in 3 wins and 4 wins. And I hate to get too high on Chandler Smith because it bit me last year, Rod, but I'm here ready to get high on Chandler Smith again. One of those highs I'm going back for.
I don't think they sell Chandler Smith at the dispensary, so I think you're safe there. So, look, I know people. I know that there's a sect of this whole NASCAR world that says vacated wins are not a thing. I get it. I understand. But Christian Eckes leaving behind 4 wins on the table from last season. How many do you think Chandler Smith picks up out of those, if any at all? I mean, you had guys like Ross Chastain win a race. Obviously, Roger Caruth. You had Layne Riggs win a couple, which we'll talk about in a second. You had Kyle Busch win a couple. Nick Sanchez, Grant Enfinger. But really, the majority of the wins were all concentrated at the top of that list. Corey Heim with 6, Christian Eckes with 4, Ty Majeski with 3, right? I mean, that is 13 wins out of 23 races right there in those top 3. So that's a lot of space to open up. Holy cow, Rod, get yourself together. That's a lot of space to open up those 4 wins because again, we're talking a very, very truncated season. So that's a lot of real estate to take over. So Chandler Smith does probably come in and pick up 2, if not 3, if not all 4 of those particular races wins. And so I think, yeah, this number could be set at 3.5 and we could be talking a lot longer on it. But I mean, one side that we'll take is the over. But we don't like the number on it.
Yeah. And that's what sort of sucks when you get a number like this, because it's like, well, obviously you want that side because it's -180 and it makes more sense. Like, yeah. And sometimes we'll pick the under because you can get good value and you can make a pretty strong case, but I have a hard time seeing him not winning 3 races. And again, like you stack him and Majeski up next to each other. Give me Chandler Smith. I would rather have Chandler Smith than Ty Majeski. So I'm going to lean the under on Majeski and take the over on Smith. So makes it hard from a betting aspect. But again, the conversation on this isn't just like, you don't need to go bet every single guy's win total. Find one you like, find 2 you like. Sure, maybe you don't bet any of them, but it's to, again, walk through what do we expect from these guys this season, and that's going to help you down the road for who are we betting on and what are our expectations. And Chandler Smith does have those expectations for me.
Yeah, and again, it's definitely a 3-race win season for Chandler Smith. It's just a matter of, I don't know that 4 I don't know. It's a tough thing to do because I know that he's going to win some races. I know that it's more than 2.5. So yeah, give me the over on that one. All right. Raja Caruth next on the list here. I told you earlier, he won Las Vegas, right? He made a lot of money for us in Las Vegas.
80-1. Oh, it was beautiful.
Well, the books now are not really expecting him to win more than one this season, if not any at all. So 1.5 is his number. Plus 120 on the over, minus 150 on the under. So the question is, Cody, I know that we talked a lot about Raja Caruth getting close and running well. He had 5 top 5 finishes, 12 top 10 finishes over the course of last season, obviously winning in Las Vegas. But how close is this team to winning 2 or more races this year?
Yeah, and that's the question, right? Is I think the biggest question actually is, can Raja take that next step? Because we've seen him take the first step. He got to victory lane, got that monkey off his back, but the wins didn't just start falling all of a sudden. Like, he didn't win again. Was he really in contention to win any other races? Not really. Like, Vegas was the perfect race. He just came out. He had a fast truck. He was, fast, starts on the pole. Things also fell his way. Don't let that one guy forget that Ty Majeski was fast in that race, Rod. I want to make sure we cover that. Ty Majeski was fast in that race. And then Kyle Busch had multiple I think he had like a speeding penalty. So he had multiple issues in that race. Some other things happened. I think Heim had something go wrong. So, like, things had to fall perfectly for him to get it done. Now, we did have a bet on him at 80-1 because he could put himself in that position. But can they now expand on that and win another one? And we're going to talk about Layne Riggs in a minute. And I think that it's going to be a much different conversation with Riggs because we've seen it twice now. And I feel like the talent is there with Caruth, but I just don't know if we're at 2 wins yet. Now, the number is what makes this interesting because, again, the books also have similar feelings to us that he's probably not going to win 2, and that's why the under is minus 150 and the over is at plus 120. So if you do think that Caruth could really take off and have kind of a breakout season, win 2-3 races, the over will be the way to go. I'm finding it hard picturing him getting there twice. I think, like, especially with as good as the top of this board is with Heim and with Smith and with Majeski and with Riggs when we talk about him in a few, and with Enfinger when we talk about him in a few, and Daniel Hemrick, and the races that guys come down. Can Caruth win 2 races? Yes. How likely is it? I don't know. I think we're going to learn a lot about Caruth this season, and I'm excited for that, but I'm not ready to take the leap that he does it just yet.
So one guy that we haven't talked about, and he's not on this board, and that's Nick Sanchez, who did win 2 races last year. And that's the thing. He had 11 top 5 finishes. He had 14 top 10 finishes in his season. So, like, I know that when we talk about divvying out wins, like, Nick already won 2. And so if we're trying to parse out who's going to take some of these Christian Eckes victories, I don't know, like you said. And for Caruth, look, it was a respectable season for him altogether. 3rd at Daytona. Right, he finished 3rd at Bristol. He finished 4th at Talladega. So these super speedways, there could be a second win in there somewhere.
That's what could get, and that's always the case on win totals. The super speedways is what can bite you because you can't guarantee them. You can't guarantee they're not going to get them. It is the most true form of a wild card that there is, right? While somewhat predictable, winning them is a big wild card, and that's. With Sanchez, he was very competitive over the last couple of seasons in a lot of races. And with Caruth, you saw the flashes of what can be. You saw the speed. That's why the 80-1 was worth the risk at the time. But I haven't seen him. I think that comparing him to Riggs actually is very fair because I think similar things here. We've seen Riggs really compete a few times. How many races can you go back and say, wow, Caruth really competed for the win here? We just didn't get that. So maybe he can pull off a Vegas type of win and he wins at a super speedway. That's how he gets to 2. Fine. But if you ever get beat on one of these win totals by a super speedway, I don't think you can be too upset about that because it's so hard to factor that in. And sure, he's been good at them. That's a good note, right? Maybe we'll need to remember that going into Daytona and Atlanta to open the season. But yeah, give me the under on Kruth. I haven't seen enough yet, and well, I believe that he's got a bright future, and he's got Mr. H behind him, and that's huge. I'm not convinced he's at that point yet.
Yeah, I can see him getting 1. 2's just a difficult path for me to go, especially with all of the heavy hitters that are at the top of this list. So I'll take the under on that as well. All right, let's move on to Grant Enfinger. He is also set at 1.5. However, his over is juiced at -150. His under is at +120. Grant Enfinger, as we said, won 2 races last season. But this is a guy that I think can get to 2 again. This wasn't a flash in the pan that I think that, maybe like Nick Sanchez, because Nick Sanchez won Daytona to start the season, then didn't win again until Charlotte. But for Grant Enfinger, I mean, he's been a 4-race winner. In fact, he's won 2 races, at least 2 races in the last 2 seasons, 3 2 years ago, 2 last year. So, and then 4 in 2020. Like, this isn't a fluke. This is something that he can do, and I think he's going to do it again. So I like the over.
This might actually be easier than Corey Haim over. This is easy over. It's only -150, which isn't always great for long season bets, but for what we've been given as options, this is one of the better ones. Easily 2 wins for Grant Enfinger. I'm not even going to question that. He's consistent, solid. He was with GMS for a long time. Well, he was with ThorSport for a long time. He was with GMS for a long time. Established teams, all this stuff. Goes to CR7 last year. We don't know what we're going to get. We now know what we're going to get. Now they're in a second year of building up what was a very poor team that already made it to the championship 4, that already won 2 races. Is he going to win 2 races again? Absolutely. I love Grant Enfinger.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer, because again, Grant Enfinger can win anywhere, honestly.
And if and if you're newer to this show, Grant Enfinger is probably going to be one of the most mentioned guys, because he's, in a week-to-week basis, is disrespected by the books. I think he's being disrespected by only setting him at 1.5 here, honestly, because I might still take him over 2.5, really. I think that he's going to be a guy you're going to continue to hear about a lot. We're going to continue to bet on, and he's probably been, if you go back over the history of this show for Truck Series, I would guess Grant Enfinger's probably won us more money than any other truck driver.
Yeah, I don't have the math, but I'm sure that probably checks out for real. I won at Talladega, won at Homestead, and kind of like we said, he took a minute to get into his new settings, but he really shined after that. Second at Pocono, 3rd at IRP, 4th at Richmond. He did have a 2nd place at North Wilkesboro, 3rd place at Charlotte. So yeah, he turned it on, and I think he's going to turn it on again. If we're thinking Christian Eckes is going to leave behind what he leaves behind, then I think Grant Enfinger is in line to pick something up and at least win 2 races. So, all right. Last but not least, the cover boy of this, cover man. Sorry, Layne, you are a man. Layne Riggs.
Is he yet? He's only like 20, I think, Rod. So is he a man yet? I don't know. He's going to be a man after this season, I'll tell you that.
They're all kids to me anymore. Like, I'm to the point now where I'm shaking.
He's 20. He can have a beer. He's a man.
He can have a beer. He's a man. So Layne Riggs.
I'm a man. I'm 22. That's what Gundy said, right?
Yeah, right. That's a quote. AI didn't make that up. No, Layne Riggs, 2 wins last season. He had 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s. But again, I mean, this is a guy that we watched sort of mature into his ride. That 38 carries a pretty heavy burden from what came before. So he was finally able to kind of get in there. He won at Milwaukee. He won at Bristol. So I guess the question is, can he pick up one more win? The over here is set at -165. The under is set at +135 on his 2.5 win total. This is
back
tough.
up the respect truck, Rod, because they are giving him the respect. He's only coming into his 3rd season now, right? I believe. Is he? No, this is only his second season. Last year was his rookie season.
Well, so
2 races.
Yeah,
well, he's run part-time previously.
Yeah, this will be his second full-time season in the truck series.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I love this kid. I don't care. -165. Give me the over. How is Ty Majeski not going to win 3 races? It's Layne Riggs. How does Rajah Kruth not get to 2 wins? It's Layne Riggs. Layne Riggs is going to pick up those Sanchez wins. He's going to double up on his wins. That gets you to 4 right there. Layne Riggs is, we were very high on him going into last season. It took a while, right? Started off the season slow. We didn't see it for a while, but once it clicked, it clicked. He got 2 wins back-to-back in the playoffs down the stretch. He is going to continue to build on that. Again, back to comparing him to Carruth earlier, we didn't see Carruth competing week to week. We saw Riggs competing not only at the short flat tracks where he picked up multiple wins, but also some good runs at bigger tracks as well. Yes, very, very high on Riggs. The books are too. That's why they've got him set at 2.5. That's why he's one of the favorites to win the championship. He is going to have a stellar season. I think that could be very easily what takes away from Majeski, what takes away from a guy like Carruth taking that next step and getting more wins. It was very chalky sort of going through these picks, which I think is not a bad thing because it shows you where we stand on everybody. But Riggs is one, again, minus 165 hurts, but I'm very certain on the over here as well.
I would have been okay with a minus 115 at 3.5. I would have felt very comfortable taking that as well, because that, to me, I still feel like you're right. 4 wins could be in his future, because when he turned it on. Like you said, Milwaukee, Bristol, he won. 2nd at Kansas. He finished 6th at Martinsville, 10th at Phoenix to close out the season. He had a 3rd place at North Wilkesboro, where he came up from 23rd to drive all the way up there. 5th place at Gateway, 5th at IRP, 5th at Richmond. So when he turned the switch, he turned the switch. Like he started out the season 33rd at Daytona, 33rd in Atlanta, 22nd at Vegas. He had a 10th place at Bristol. We were like, oh, is he finally getting figured out? Then 27th at Austin, 15th at Martinsville, 31st at Texas, 18th at Kansas, 21st at Darlington. Whew, I'm telling you, there were some stinkers in there. But then, like we said, turned it on. He did have some clunkers in the middle of it, like a 28th at Charlotte, 25th at Nashville, and 30th at Pocono. But by and large, there was so much to be happy about in Layne Riggs' season, in his first full-time season in the trucks. So lot to be hopeful for him next year.
Yeah, and he was one of those guys that just competed right from the drop, right? I think his first career start, IRP top 5 there. Pretty sure we had a ticket on him that day, because we knew we've known this is one of those guys. If you're not a long-time NASCAR fan, his dad Scott was in the Cup Series for a long time. This is one of those guys we've seen coming down the pike, and we know has the talent, we know has the backing, and now we're here, and it's coming to fruition. I think we're just going to continue to see that.
Yeah, he had a 3rd place finish at IRP, driving the 7 truck in 2023, and then a top 10 finish at IRP. So IRP, a really good track for Layne Riggs, as proof positive by his 5th place finish there. So, I mean, look, what does he do this year? Does he pick up a win on that one? There's his 3rd win. Now we're all eating sort of steak, but love the potential for Layne Riggs this season. I do think 3 wins is but you talked about the chalkiness of it all, but we prefaced that earlier, where the wins are concentrated in 3 or 4 different drivers, and everyone else kind of gets a 1Z or a 2Z here and there. So if we think that Layne Riggs is going to be in that upper echelon, that top 3, then that's where all of the wins are concentrated. So I think 3 wins for him is not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, and like, to sort of expand on that, let's look at and we went through this yesterday, obviously. Go back and listen to the championship episode, but you look through here and who else is going to pick up wins. So even if we allocated these wins, so 5 for Heim, 2 or 3 for Majeski, so you're at what, 7, 10 with Smith, 11 with Carruth if you give him 1, 13 with Enfinger, 14, 15, 16 with Riggs, 17. We've only allocated 16, 17 wins. So you've got another 6, 7 out there to go to people. Well, who are those 6 or 7 going to go to? Sure, Kyle Busch comes in and gets 1 or 2. Maybe Ross Chastain comes in and gets 1 or 2. But after that, looking through here, the biggest question is, how many can Daniel Hemrick get, right? I think that's a very large question. We sort of addressed that yesterday. Can Caden Honeycutt steal a win or 2? I think so. I'm pretty high on him coming into the season. Can Ben Rhodes win a race or 2? We know he always can, right? Outside of that, does Purdy sneak up and win one? Sure, maybe is a long shot somewhere. Could Friesen still win a race? Sure.
We got Chastain that can still possibly pop in.
Yeah. I mean, does a Timmy Hill win on a super speedway? Sure, maybe. Like that's your sort of outliers, obviously, you can't always predict, but it does feel like a lot of these wins are going to come from these guys, and that's not out of line with what we continuously see year after year in the Craftsman Truck Series.
Agreed. All right. Well, that was fun. I always love talking trucks, especially with these guys that we're talking about today, because this is going to be the bulk of what we're going to be talking about when we're talking about these betting cards, because a lot of these guys are going to, their names are going to come up whether the numbers are good or not, that's the one that remains to be seen.
What we've learned over the past couple of seasons, especially in the Truck Series, don't be afraid to lay a little juice on these guys. The Truck Series has been one of our better, if not our best series. Honestly, I think it's been our best series if you were to go back and look at how well we've done in it. And a lot of times it is laying some minus 125s or minus 110s, but they're more predictable. And you could still hit on your 80-1 Caruth winning at Las Vegas, right? So it does cover the whole gamut. And the Truck Series, again, if you're just like a regular NASCAR fan, you're just checking stuff out off season, wasting time. If you don't watch the Truck Series, it's potentially the best racing every weekend, and in different ways, right? They're not the consummate professionals you get in the Cup Series, but it's a lot of fun always to watch.
It's like watching, I don't know. It's like going to a Savannah Bananas game where, you're there for the fun. Like
Ooh.
that's what you're there
Can we
for.
get a Savannah Bananas racing series? How would that? You'd have to. Boy, it would take some work, but it could be done.
Hey, those drifters, man, they got super control of their car. They can probably do whatever they want. So
Get like a monster truck driving over top of a race car or something. Oh, yeah, we could work some stuff out.
Yeah.
Is that what monster trucks already is? Potentially, but that's
it could be. Whatever. We'll figure that out. We still got the rest of the offseason.
We'll go back to the lab for that one.
Yeah, we'll draw up the plans and we'll give them to you shortly. All right, Cody. Well, that's it for the week, man. We're done with this week, and we'll come back next week and talk some more. Man, we got Xfinity stuff to talk about next week.
Another week closer. Yeah, we got it's gonna be fun. Gonna be a lot of fun. We got a ton of stuff over the next couple of weeks, and it's almost time to be making racing picks at the Clash at the Bowman Gray.
We got here so quickly, buddy. So quickly.
Beautiful thing.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, then let's send everybody off into their weekend or whatever it is for them. And we'll be back again on Tuesday to talk to you and have some more fun with the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
That we will. Rod, follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. NFL draft, first round mock draft. I've got that out. Underdog plays for the college football playoffs tonight, tomorrow. If you are listening to this on Thursday, that article is out as well. NFL previews continue to roll. Tons and tons of other stuff. So make sure you check that out. And then if you haven't, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're at 700, trying to continue to grow that number. Helps us out a lot as we head towards the season here. And we greatly appreciate it. See you guys next week.
Indeed. Yeah, there's this magical world that's the 1,000 mark. I don't know. That's like the 5-timers club in SNL. Like you get a smoking jacket, you get, special treatment and line jump seats in certain places. But I want to get there. So help us get there. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the about everything I got going on, whether it's here. About to start talking some NASCAR with the back road again with Seth and Elliott. So check that out there. And of course, there's a special link in there that'll get you to a special site that will take you and show you what snooker's all about and esports and all the other fun world of sports that you probably never ever thought you'd hear of or much less bet on. So, all right. Love you all. We'll see you guys next week for more of this. Until next time, let's go racing and let it ride.